Perfect. Welcome
Hello.
back to Pleasure. Hi, Moon. How are you doing today?
Hi,
Ready
Max.
for ready for there is a pleasure in the pathless woods, Lord Byron. I put a picture
Okay.
of I think this is a tropical uh, woods, very easy to get
Hmm.
lost. There's a light, there's a green in there. Yeah, I quite liked it. I like to wander and see what the off the beaten track you go.
Hmm.
There's a great pleasure in the sense of adventure. What does
Mm.
this picture brings to you?
It just reminds me that every time we travel, my husband and I had very, very different ideas of fun. So for me, getting lost, not knowing where we're going is really fun. For him, is just so stressful. He doesn't like not knowing where he's going. He needs to have the map. He needs to be able to get signals. Yeah, so I think this just reminds me how different we can be in a relationship. So when we ignore the definitions of what the other people might perceive as fun or pleasure, there might be conflicts in a relationship.
Interesting, interesting. Because now in so far we've been focusing on the pleasure for ourselves, focusing on what we like, but it can be a clash when we are not aligned with the people
Exactly.
around us, and then having your partner at the opposite end, it can be quite a
Exactly.
challenge. Hmm.
Yeah. So, what about you? Do you enjoy getting lost, not knowing where you're going, and finding pleasure?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, I like to start with a plan. So I like to get all my maps and everything pointing in the right directions. And then when I start, I like to get lost. I like to
What's the point of
activate.
having the map?
Well, you know where you are, you know where you're going, so you can you have your mental map of the
Ah,
area, but then you activate your senses and you search the path, you look for signals, for path signs, and I really like to
I
read
see.
I read the environment, and then I decide where to go based on what I see or what I prefer in the moment. I love it,
Hmm.
absolutely love it. So for
So
me, the
is
sense of adventure is key.
yeah, so it's planned, but then also um, go as go with the flow. It's both.
Well, that's what we're doing right here. So we have a plan, Moon. So and then
Oh yes,
once
yes.
we press the button,
So
go
shared.
live.
Yeah,
Here we are.
yeah. I love that.
So
I
how do
love
you
it.
apply to business? Because they, you know,
Mm.
there's also say there's a very crude business before pleasure. You know, how can you go into a pathless woods when you running your business?
I think as a business owner or as a team leader, we need to have this kind of strong foundations um, and trust, in what we're doing. So without trust, without faith in your team members, in yourself, it's very easy to freak out when things don't go our way.
Yeah.
And when we started to see that the thing that we don't know or the thing that is completely out of our control, we when we get to let go of that, maybe then we can have a sense of kind of like quietness. I'm just thinking about going into these wood things. There is a moment of, okay, I don't know all the answers, but I will keep going. So to be able to soldier on, you do need to have the mindset of letting go and not being in 100% in control all the time.
Yeah, yeah, and trust your environment. For me, actually, the pathless is instead of woods. I like for me the metaphor at work is always the ocean, the sea, and rely on a
Ah,
crew and the team members. For me, is now you go out to sea, you don't have a path, you have a more or less a direction, so you go in there. But I really like to rely on the different skills on the boat and the pleasure of the teamwork to reach the destination. For me, is the real
mm,
pleasure in the
yes.
business. You don't know exactly how you will do it, how you go through that storm or the strong winds or the swell, but you know that if you're
Mm,
putting everybody together, is it's fantastic. It's better than reaching destination. It's actually going sailing through whatever the sea will throw at you. That is like immense pleasure. It's being a thing in my professional life.
I love it. And I love the metaphors. I think it's very relevant. So the invitation
Yeah.
today is, what are the pathless ways that you have discovered in your own journey, and looking back, what are the pleasures that you can now identify coming all the way from where you were to where you are now?
And the second invitation for me, once you've done that, is what do you want more of that kind of pleasure in the future, in your professional or personal life? What do you want to achieve with the underlying current of pleasure that will sustain, like the wind under the wings, really your paths? So that's the invitation for today.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
And enjoy the journey.
That's key. Have fun. Thank you, and see you tomorrow. Bye.
See you tomorrow. Bye.